Hi, welcome to D10tion, where we pretend to know what we're talking about when it comes to D&D. I am Abracadabra Tristan. To my left, we have Embrace the Dark Arts Sam, and to my right, we have You're a Wizard, Brandon. Well, I was a pirate.
You're a pirate. I be a magical pirate. It's D&D. It could be whatever I want.
I'm Sir Captain Magicbeard.
Don't talk about it.
It's invisible with magic.
Sensitive subjects.
So if you can't tell with all the magic jokes, we're talking about another powerful magic user. A sorcerer.
Those didn't match it. Alright, so we're talking about sorcerers today, and as we've discussed before, I don't like magic users.
But they are part of my bread and butter.
Yeah, they're part of your bread and butter, and Sam's a fan of them as well, which is good because I'm not. I'm too simple to deal with magic. Magic hard.
What is magic?
Magic is the thing,
which is
stuff.
Happens. Poof.
I am your friendly neighborhood barbarian, talking about magic. So Sam is definitely going to have to help us out a bunch with this because
I get to talk more.
Yay!
Quiet, woman.
So sorcerers are a special type of magic users because unlike bards who learn magic through performance and song, and clerics and paladins who get magic from the divine, and druids who get magic from nature, and wizards who learn it, sorcerers kind of show up and they're that rich, pompous kid that's like, I was born with it. So
maybe it's Maybelline.
It's literally, sorcerers are born with their innate magical abilities. Mm-hmm. They don't have to do anything special. They don't have to learn it. They don't have to practice it. They just get it.
It's just like a raw magic that just is there.
And with that raw innate magic comes different forms of it. It all manifests differently based on your individual soul. So you need to think about the different ways and the origins you pick are pretty leaning towards what kind of magic you want to base in, because each one gives different spells and different boons and different abilities to different ways to cast magic. So as I said, you're born with that raw, latent, untapped magic. And sometimes you are you have the touch of a demon, or a touch of a dryad, or a touch of a fae, or through some weird draconic bloodline, or through giants, potentially through pretty much any sort of magical being can impart a magical essence into a bloodline. It may not manifest until you, but there's a chance that you could be the first. A magical deity could just be like, here's some arcane power into that baby, and that's it. It's not a religious thing. It's just wild trickster arcane magic.
And kind of much in the same way that warlock magic can kind of drive a little bit of backstory and drive a little bit of story, so can sorceress magic. Is this something that, maybe you always knew that you were going to get through your lineage and you were looking forward to your magic growing? Or maybe it's a curse to you. You
were just a farmer and then you accidentally blew up your dad.
Exactly. You can kind of play with it a little bit. Maybe you try to master it, or maybe you can't master it just because of the unpredictable nature of it all.
Or you want to master it, but you can't currently, so you're seeking out somewhere to learn how to master
exactly.
it.
You can kind of infuse a little bit of story with this.
Sorcerers, if wizard, you can go to school to be a wizard. You can't go to school to be a sorcerer. So sorcerers are a little more rare when it comes to the D&D multiverse. You can have a campaign where there's a bunch of sorcerers and there's probably a story for that, but in the typical D&D world, when you find a sorcerer, something happened to them or their bloodline that caused this to manifest. So it's kind of like you're special. Right. And that's why a lot of sorcerers seek some sort of more understanding about why them or how they got it. And that's where the backstory comes into play. And finding out if you chose, when we get to it, if you chose the Dragonic bloodline, you could go and try and find great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandpappy dragon. And how did this happen?
Right.
So it's a wide variety of story elements that go with this. So creating a sorcerer, once again, we're going to the level 5.
Right.
To keep it consistent, that level 5 magic.
Right. So we're going to make a level 5 sorcerer. We've picked a tiefling as our race.
Because They're awesome.
They're awesome and they're charismatic. And
I think you're
charisma
biased.
is your spellcasting modifier.
So and we'll definitely touch on that in a second because that's definitely a good focus. So yeah, we're choosing wisely. So we're starting at level 1. This is where your hit dice are a 1d6 per level of sorcery or sorcerer,
Which is
meh. Because we've seen 8s, we've seen 12s, but again, these
There's
are
one lower than that.
Yeah. But again,
We won't name any names.
But again, sorcerers are not the same thing as like a barbarian, a monk, a fighter. These are not supposed to be like, I'm going to walk up and punch you in the face. No, that's not a sorcerer.
Definitely, if you're punching something, you've done something wrong.
Right. Your hit points at level 1 are 6 plus your con modifier. Your hit points at higher levels are a 1d6 plus your con modifier.
You get no armor proficiencies.
None.
You're not supposed to be wearing armor. You can, but you just not proficient with any of it.
Your weapons can be daggers, darts, slings, quarterstaffs, light crossbows.
If you noticed, 3 of those things, or 4 of those things are ranged. You can throw. You don't want to be near them all. Quarterstaff has a little bit of range. You're going to be like, get away.
Poke, poke. No tool proficiencies. Your saving throws are Constitution and Charisma. And then you get skills to choose from: Arcana, Deception, Insight, Intimidation, Persuasion, and Religion.
So I think we're going to pick Arcana because it's a magic user. It's fun.
And Persuasion, because you've got that charisma.
You got that dashing good look.
You got the...
So that, if you notice, the reason... Now, my understanding for mostly why you don't get any tools or armor proficiencies is that when you're a sorcerer and this is all sprung upon you, you don't have time to learn it like other classes. Mm-hmm. Like for a barbarian, you don't need armor, so you don't need the armor proficiency, but you have tools because you're learning to survive.
Right.
And you're just a person. Most people don't need armor. Most people don't need, depending on what they do, a tool set. It could be determined by your background, but the class sorcerer has nothing to prepare you for any tools or armor. There's no need for it. So that is my reasoning on why you don't really get much.
Right.
Yeah.
Starting off, you get stuff, just not the way other people do. You don't start with scale mail like a cleric.
Yeah.
So starting at first level,
You also get something very important.
it's called spellcasting. It's what you do.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that would be for.
No, I don't understand. Let's move past. You also get your sorcerer's origin. So this is one of the other ones that you start with your thing. You start with your reason for the magic, because it wouldn't make sense for it to be decided later. Mm-hmm. You can't will it into existence. You didn't will the magic. It just happens. So let's jump on in to those origins. The origins, as we said, come from a variety of places. It literally is the font of magic within you. It's what they call as the font of magic. It's the wellspring of magic within you, and it comes with sorcery points, and we'll get into those here shortly. But it gives you the ability to cast magic, and through your sorcerer's origin, alter the magic. So, do you want to talk about sorcery points?
So, with sorcery points, which is really nice.
Yeah, sorcery points are so versatile.
So with your sorcery points, you can basically use these to do different things with your spells. You start off with 2 sorcery points and you gain more as you reach higher levels. You can regain these at the end of the long rest. You can use your sorcery points to gain additional spell slots or sacrifice spell slots to gain additional sorcery points. So they're kind of interchangeable in that way, which
they're fun magic little
really
beads.
Nice. So you can, like I said, you can transform an unexpended sorcery point into a spell slot as a bonus action on your turn.
Now, it gets a little tricky because you can't do like a 9th level spell for one spell slot.
Right. But at first level, it'll cost you 2 sorcery points to get an extra spell slot. Second, 3, third, 5, fourth, 6, and 5th, 7th. So, yeah, it costs a little bit. But you can do it as a bonus action, and it can be kind of helpful. But then at 3rd level, you can use those sorcerer points to sort of help you with your magic. And you can use it for meta magic options.
Yes!
Which is probably the best part about being a sorcerer. There are different meta magic options that you can pick. You can get another one at 10th level and another at 17th level.
They're so useful.
They're super useful and basically kind of make you stand out, I think, from the other spellcasters. So you can use your meta magic for a careful spell, which basically you force another creature to make a saving throw, but you can protect some of those creatures from the spell's full force. So if, let's say you have an area of effect spell, you can kind of help to protect your friends that might be in that area. So you spend a sorcery point, and you're like, hey, you're just going to succeed this saving throw. Distance spell, so when you cast a spell that has a range of 5 feet or greater, you can spend a sorcery point to double the range, which is pretty nice. And when it has a range of touch, you can spend a sorcery point to make it 30 feet.
That makes so many good spells better.
Yeah.
I don't want to be close to them, but I also want to hit them.
Yeah.
Right.
Empowered spell. When you roll spell damage, you can spend a sorcery point to re-roll the number of damage dice up to your charisma modifier. You have to use the new rolls, but since your charisma is supposed to be pretty high,
you have a good chance.
Yeah. And you can also use the empowered spell even if you've already used a different meta magic option during the same casting of your spell, which is nice.
Which is great. You can also do an extended spell. When you cast a spell for the duration of 1 minute or longer, you can spend 1 sorcery point to double its duration to a maximum of 24 hours. So let's say you're doing Hold Person. I'm just going to make that more. You're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere until I say so.
You are staying put.
It also works with like gaseous form and things like this where if you ever get the spell, I'm just using ones that are on the top of my head, but you can make them last longer in case you need them to be longer. Because some spells don't last nearly long enough. You can also get the heightened spell. When you cast a spell that forces a creature to make a saving throw to resist it, this is where it costs a little more. You can take this technically at the earlier level, but you shouldn't. 3 sorcery points to give 1 target of the spell disadvantage on the first saving throw made against the spell.
Yeah. So if it's a spell that requires that if you failed the first one, you can try again, like at the next round or something, you only get disadvantage on the first saving throw for it.
So a heightened spell works if you're trying to do something first turn.
Yeah.
The next one is one of my favorites.
Yes, I quite like this one too.
So when you cast a spell that has casting time of 1 action, you can spend 2 sorcery points to change the casting time into bonus action. So it allows you to go, I'm going to fireball, spend 2, and fireballs. Wait, what? Boo-boo. So it pretty much makes it so using only 2 sorcery points, you can go buck wild with some of these spells.
Give yourself an extra spell attack.
This next one is tied for second favorite for me. Is the subtle spell. When you cast a spell, you can spend
that's right.
1 sorcery point to cast it without any somatic, which is the symbol, or verbal components. So if you have an arcane focus and you want to be quiet, all you have to do is go, and then it happens. You just gonna
just think it.
Because let's say you have your arcane thing is like an emblem on your shirt. You don't have to. It's touching you, so it's technically working. So you're just gonna go. Okay, I cast a fireball.
Yeah. And the last one's my favorite meta magic one, is Twin Spell. So when you cast a spell that targets only one creature that does not have a range of yourself, you can spend a number of sorcery points equal to the spell's level to target a second creature in the range with the same spell, and it's only 1 sorcery point if it's a cantrip.
So like 2 Ray of Frost.
Yes.
Pew pew. Or 2. What's another really good one?
Witch Bolt.
Witch Bolt's really good. Boom boom, and then they constantly take the damage.
Right.
You could do Ray of Enfeeblement. It pretty much anything that's a ray that's 1, you can just go.
Chromatic Orb.
2.
Yeah.
I just want out.
Yeah.
Get out of here. So those are what you can pick from. So what are we going to pick? Also, Magic Missile works. Because if Magic Missile wasn't broken enough. Oh, you can't stop this attack. Let me just twin it.
I don't think you can do Magic Missile.
Oh, you can. It says right there. For example.
Aren't eligible.
What?
Aren't eligible.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Yep.
I was like, wait a minute. No, it could, but it can, it hasn't.
Because it has to be incapable.
I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took that as you had to target one
person.
person.
So if you cast, for example, a question just for a DM.
Yeah.
If you're casting Hold Person at a lower level where you can only target one person, can you technically twin that? Because at higher levels you can do more than one.
So my counter question is, why would you want to if you could do a higher level version? If you can't do a higher level version, if it's only technically the spell is capable. So rules as written, it's capable of doing more than one.
That's fair.
Rules as written. Now, if you had a
Just
compelling
curious.
reason why it could work, I'm down for it.
Just curious.
So what are we gonna pick? My vote's either quickened or subtle. That's my one. You can pick which one you want. I'll give you a vote. We get 2, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we've kind of ahead of ourselves a little bit because this is at 3rd level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, level 1 is where we start to pick the...
We'll get into that.
We'll get into that.
Yes, we've skipped ahead a little bit.
But we can still pick these right now and then go pick our origin. This doesn't impact our origin at all.
See, I like things like the subtle spell for the same reasons you do.
I think it happens.
Yeah. I think subtle and quickened are both good.
Then let's do subtle and twinned to start out.
All right.
Because twin spells are really good at early levels because most of your spells can only target one person.
Right.
And then when we get the next choice later in the sorcerer's life, he'll do quickened and then be able to quietly make a spell happen and then quietly make a spell happen again.
Right.
So let's get into those origins.
All right.
Now they have a bunch of different titles. Most of the way, the monks are the way. The warlock is pact. So there's or domain. Each thing has different archetypes.
Yeah.
For this, they all have different names. So there's not like a way of this. Right. So the first one, and I like this one because if you want to be a cleric, but not a cleric, it's
a
divine
natural
soul.
Cleric.
Yeah. Divine soul. So the spark of magic that fuels you comes from a divine source that glimmers in your soul.
I hate it already.
You're a blessed soul, and that magic reflects that. So you get different features. You have a natural magnetism with it's not a feature, but story wise, you have a connection with religions and with people who are religious and divine, because to them, at least in my DM mind, if they find out you're a divine soul, they're like, you've been touched by a god. You are not where I'm not worthy to be talking to you right now.
Show me on the doll where the god touched you.
Right here. So starting off, you get divine magic. And this changes. You get to choose what affinity you want. And that changes what spell you get from the cleric list. So this is why I said it's like cleric, because you get
cleric spells.
So there's good, evil, law, chaos, neutrality. Each one of those has a different spell with it, and that should match up with your character's alignment.
Right.
You can't be chaotic evil and then kick good because you want cure wounds for your friends. That doesn't make much sense.
Yes.
But if you're good and you do law or neutrality or chaos, those all work. So you're still. It's not like good locks you into like the cure wounds. You can pick whichever one in there. You also at first level, you are favored by the gods. So divine power guards your destiny. If you fail a saving throw or miss an attack roll, you can roll 2d4 and add it to the total. You can only use this feature before short or long rest. So it pretty much, your divine, I guess, heritage, if you want to put it like that, comes down and goes, no, a little more to the left. So then it lets you hit a little more. You also get empowered healing.
And that's at level 6.
At level 6.
Yep. So, as it says, you can heal people.
What a coincidence.
So yeah, with anybody that's an ally within 5 feet of you, you roll the dice, determine the number of hit points, restore it, provided you aren't incapacitated. But you can use a sorcery point to re-roll the dice if you need to. And I mean, that's kind of nice.
So if you have let's say you have a dedicated cleric.
Yeah.
Because as sorcerer, your divine origin doesn't mean you only have cleric spells. You also get the sorcerer spells.
Correct.
But if you have like a cleric or a paladin, and they're like, oh, I'm going to heal, and then like, oh, I rolled a 1. You can go, no, try that again.
Yes.
At level 14, you get otherworldly wings.
Ooh.
So at 14th level, you get a bonus action to make wings appear on your back. They're spectral wings, not like you grow angel wings. They're kind of translucent. While the wings are present, you can fly 30 feet. if you dismiss them, they go away. If you're incapacitated, or obviously if you die. The affinity you choose changes the appearance of them. So I think that's a really nice little like flavor bit.
Yeah.
So if you're good or law, you get eagle wings. If you get evil or chaos, you get bat wings. And if you neutrality, you get dragonfly wings.
Huh.
So you're just like...
And I think as a DM, you can kind of play with that a little bit.
You can change them into like different insects. So someone really like bees, you have bee wings. But you can that's where I think that's a nice little flavor they added in there. So it's not like spectral wings. I got like I guess they're just wings. So they're
It's
they're
nice
important.
that it's written down versus it being left up to a DM's discretion.
And then at 18th level, you get unearthly recovery.
So with that, you can kind of overcome injuries in a lot of ways. You can use your bonus action if you have fewer than half of your hit points remaining.
Which is not hard for a sorcerer.
To regain a number of hit points equal to half your hit point maximum. You can't use this feature again until a long rest, but it's really nice to be able to just like recover those hit points as a bonus action.
So the thing, let's say you have, for some reason, you only have 90 health at level 18. If you go down to 45 health, technically 44 health, you can go up to 89.
Yeah.
Because, so you're pretty much back at full health. You're like, I'm back. All right, don't hit me again. I got hit again. Okay, I'm back to the health.
Right.
If you can't tell the joke I'm making. Sorcerers don't have a lot to work with when it comes to getting hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then they get all this nice spell stuff, so, it's the trade-off.
They're sorcerers, not fighters.
No.
Not tanks.
Not tanks. Not in a sense. No.
Yeah.
Next is this one's the classic one. This one comes with the standard book. This one a lot of people think of, and also, once again, if you thought Divine Soul had variety inside of it with the different affinities, this next one also does.
And that would be the Draconic Bloodline.
Daddy Dragon!
Which basically means you have dragon magic! Ta-da!
Ah.
So you can kind of use this to also give your story a little bit of flavor. But you can basically pick your dragon ancestor. So pick, the chromatic colors, the metallic colors, black, blue, brass, bronze, copper, gold, green, red, silver, white, and each of those comes with a special breath weapon.
You had those like all set and ready,
Yes.
color-wise.
They're right in front of me.
They're so nice. D&D Beyond. But yeah, like, let's say you wanted to be a dragonborn, but it didn't really fit when you wanted to be a sorcerer, or you wanted to be a dragonborn, but they don't exist in the world.
Or maybe your DM's like, you can't be a dragonborn.
Or maybe you just didn't want to play a dragonborn, but
you want that breath weapon. Boy, howdy, they got you covered.
Yep.
So those each have their own thing, from acid to lightning to fire to poison to cold.
Yeah.
You can also speak, read, and write Draconic. Additionally, whenever you make a charisma check when interacting with dragons, you get to add your proficiency bonus. Proficient proficiency. See, I can't talk to dragons. I'm obviously not Draconic. It's double.
Yeah.
So let's say you have a proficiency bonus of 2. It becomes 4 whenever you're talking to dragons.
Which is probably good, because dragons
can mess you up.
Hurt you pretty bad. You also have Draconic Resilience. So that means that you can... Your hit points maximum increases by 1, and then increases by 1 again each level that you have in this class.
So this is your way to get to a sorcerer that isn't sneezed on and dies.
And then parts of your skin are also covered by a thin sheen of dragon-like scales. So when you're not wearing armor, your AC equals 13 plus your dex modifier.
Once again, this is the way for your sorcerer to not just get dead by any sneeze.
Yep.
So this is like a really nice way, because if your dex mod is a 3, you're still at a 16, which is far better than some sorcerers.
Yeah,
Right.
some sorcerers are...
Like 12.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I know after that, like level 6, you get an elemental affinity. This is where you can cast a spell that deals damage to the same type you're associated with.
Correct.
Yes, and you can add your charisma modifier to 1 damage roll of that spell. So at the same time, you can spend 1 sorcery point to gain resistance. So let's say you're going into an area filled with ice beings. You can go, I don't want to take as much damage.
Right.
And then your draconic ancestry would work with you to shroud you so you don't take as much damage from that.
Right.
And then if you were jealous that the divine soul got wings...
Oh boy. Don't be jealous anymore, because you get dragon wings.
14th level.
You get dragonfly wings.
You get not dragonfly, just dragon wings. You get to be able to sprout dragon wings from your back, gaining a flying speed equal to your current speed. So depending on what race you are, that
Probably
changes your speed. Divine Soul gets a natural 30, but if you're for some reason like a gnome or a dwarf or a halfling, you only have 25.
I'm a dragon gnome.
You only get 25 feet.
And if you happen to be wearing armor, which probably not, but if you do, you kind of have to work with the armor. The armor's got to be specifically made to accommodate these wings, otherwise you cannot just spread them.
They're not spectral.
Clang.
They're not spectral that just appear on your back no matter what. They literally go
Sprout.
through your back. You're like... kind of gross sounding, but dope looking.
my wings are stuck in my armor.
And then at 18th level, you can use Draconic Presence, which
Roar.
is where you can channel the presence of your draconic ancestor to basically scare people around you, make them kind of frightened of you. And you can spend 5 sorcery points to draw on this power and exude that aura of fear to a distance of 60 feet. And that's for 1 minute or until you lose concentration. And each hostile creature in that area starts its turn in that area has to succeed on a wisdom saving throw, or they're charmed or frightened, depending on which way you're going with that. A creature that succeeds, however, is immune for 24 hours to that particular presence, but...
Hopefully by then they're not alive for 24 hours.
Exactly. You don't want them to be.
So that's the Draconic Bloodline. Skipping over one of the Unearthed Arcanas, which we can, if you guys want, we can make a whole episode on Unearthed Arcana things and not like kind of homebrew things. We're only going to stick with the ones that are official because we'd hate to talk about it and then it just gets ripped from the ether, never to be talked about.
Right, we've seen that happen too many times with whether it's like races and stuff like
Yep.
that. Where you're like, man, I love this, and they're like, goodbye.
Oh, God. So next is, in contrast to the Divine Soul, Shadow Magic.
There's always at least one shadow thing for almost everything.
It's great. You are a creature of shadow. Your innate magic comes from the Shadowfell itself. P.S. The Shadowfell is a very dark, scary place filled with horrific monsters and monstrosities and things that just want to eat your face.
And
My kind of
shadows.
place.
And shadows. Yeah, right. You might trace your lineage to an entity from this place, or perhaps you fell into like a little pocket area and then the Shadowfell just like merged with you, kind of like a symbiote.
Like a rough warlock.
Right?
The hard way.
This one has a change to your presence. It gives you a quirk and not the My Hero Academia quirk. It pretty much muffles your life essence into a different way. So there are 6 different ones. They're all a little creepy.
I really like them.
You want to talk about them?
Yes.
Real quick?
So, the quirks for the Shadow Sorcerer. First one is you are always icy cold to the touch.
That one's not so bad.
The second one is when you are asleep, you don't appear to breathe, though you must still be breathing to survive, but you just don't look like it. People would think you're dead if they just saw you and didn't do a medicine check very well. You barely bleed, even when you're badly injured. Your heart beats once per minute. The event sometimes surprises you.
Oh, that's right. That's me.
What are
Unbeating
you,
heart.
Mr. Burns?
You have trouble remembering that living creatures and corpses should be treated differently. This is my favorite one. And then you blinked once last week. That was it.
All right. So, and with every other sorcerer's origin, you get different abilities. This one, the first one at first level is Eyes of the Dark. You have dark vision, and then when it's 120 feet of dark vision, and when you reach 3rd level, you gain the darkness spell. It doesn't count towards none of the spells known. I should clarify that sorcerers don't prepare; you learn them, and that's it. Once they're learned, they're
done.
they're unchangeable. You can, in addition, you can cast it by spending 2 sorcery points or by spending a spell slot if you want. If you use your sorcery points, though, unlike the regular darkness spell, which you can't even see through, sorcery points, you can see through it.
Yep.
So that is a rare ability because you could darkness a battlefield and be like, okay, if they can't see us, stay with me and like make a chain and just work your way through.
Because you can see through it.
Which is
Pretty nice.
unnatural,
Which would be
unbreathing,
super
unnerving.
helpful. If only Cal could have that ability.
If only. First, though, you also get Strength of the Grave. So your existence in a twilight state between, the life you used to have and the death that's inevitably coming. When you get reduced to 0 hit points, you can make a Constitution saving throw, DC 5 plus damage taken. This is first level, so it's roughly it should be pretty low. On a success, you instead drop to 1. But you can't use this feature if you're hit with a critical hit or radiant damage. So if a divine soul comes over and uses something radiant on you, or a sun soul monk comes up to you and just Hadouken you, you're like, "Urgh." And once again, only once per long rest. So then at level 6,
you get the Hound of Ill Omen. So you can call forth a howling creature of darkness into your servitude. So as a bonus action, you can spend 3 sorcery points, and you can summon a Hound of Ill Omen to target one creature you can see within 120 feet of you. It basically uses direwolf statistics, which can be found in the monster manual. And there's some changes to it. The size for the dog is medium, not large, and it counts as a monstrosity, not a beast.
Because it's Uggy.
So it's a puppy.
It appears with a number of temporary hit points equal to half your sorcerer level.
So it starts with, at level 6, starts with 3.
Right. It can move through other creatures and objects as if they were difficult to range. The Hound takes 5 force damage if it ends its turn inside of the object.
So if you end your Hound's turn inside of an object for some reason at level 6, it's dead.
Right. I don't know why you would do that, but...
You can.
At the start of its turn, the Hound automatically knows its target's location. If the target was hidden, it no longer is hidden from the Hound.
And that's the good thing. If you're like, oh, where did you go? Flopsy? And it's like, oh, there you are.
Yeah. So it's kind of nice. While the Hound is within 5 feet of the target has disadvantage on saving throws against any spell you cast. So sometimes it's nice just to have there.
People are just like, oh shit, it's a...
It appears within 30 feet of you. Like, oh god, where'd that come from?
And you roll initiative for it. It can only move towards its target by the most direct route, and it can use its action only to attack its target. You can have it make opportunity attacks, but only against that target. So it's that one specific target.
Which is good and bad. I mean, if you're trying to find like a hidden person, let's go get them. It also disappears after 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So... if you're using it out of combat, make sure you time it right. If you're using it in combat, it should last until it gets hit.
Right.
At 14th level, you get the Shadow Walk. It's not some really cool dance move.
I was about to say, is that a new dance the kids are doing
nowadays?
nowadays?
Not a dance move. I saw the same thing.
Do the Shadow Walk.
You get the ability to step from one shadow into another. If you're in dim light or darkness, you can 120 feet. So 120 feet
nice.
Teleportation into a different shadow, which is nice. I don't want to be here right now. Oh, okay, bye. And then level 18 is the Umbral Form.
So you can spend 6 sorcery points as a bonus action to transform yourself into a shadowy form. Yay! And in this form, you have resistance to all damage except force and radiant. And you can move through other objects, creatures as if they were difficult terrain, and you take 5 force damage if you end your turn inside of an object. So if I wanted to turn myself into an umbral form and just stick my hand right through you, I'm taking 5 force damage, but my hand's now inside of him.
For the law, it's great. You ran a form for only 1 minute, though.
Yeah.
But the reason why this is so good is because you get resistance to all damage, and as a sorcerer, that is amazing.
Really nice.
Because you are taking a lot of damage normally if someone's able to do long range at you. So it's a way for you to be like, okay, I need to get over there, and I'm going to start casting spells, but there's a lot of stuff in my way. Yeah. So you just float on over. So that's shadow magic. If you notice, these are kind of like, sorcerers aren't created by, or they're not like played by their soul. They're played by what spells they pick. The soul just gives them more abilities. Right. Unlike things we talked about before, like a monk. The monk has a lot of abilities given to them from their way that they can use with their attacks. Right. These are things that you can use in addition to spells. They can help your spells, but most often your spells are spells and your origin is your ability. But there is one that they're one and the same. And we'll get to that one last. The next one is
Storm Sorcery. So maybe you were born during like a tremendous storm that was just so powerful that people just talk about it forever. Or maybe you have ancient bloodline to a djinn. There's different reasons that you might get Storm Sorcery.
Well, your mom got struck by lightning and bing, bang, boom.
Congrats. You are now a Storm Sorcerer.
That lightning got her pregnant.
But Storm Sorcery is pretty nice. You might find them, on ship's crews that are pirates, or maybe, fighting water monsters of different types.
It's a great
You do get certain features starting at first level with this, which are not too horrible, actually. You get Wind Speaker, so right off the bat you can speak Primordial. And you can also understand and be understood by those who speak its dialects. So,
Aquan,
Auron,
Ignon.
and
So
Terran.
those are dialects spoken by elementals and the beings of those elementals.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, you could know Primordial, but not know the dialect of Terran. And so an Earth elemental would be trying to talk to you, and you're just like, I'm picking up some things. Are you mad at me?
Yeah. But with this, you can kind of understand those dialects, which is nice. You also get Tempestuous Magic. So as a bonus action on your turn, you can cause whirling gusts of elemental air to briefly surround you. And this could be immediately before or after you cast a spell at first level or higher, and doing so allows you to fly 10 feet up in the air without provoking opportunity attacks. So
you don't have to go 10 feet straight up. You can go fly up
10
and over.
feet in the air and fire a spell from there. It's kind of nice.
And then you go, and it safely lands you. You don't just...
Are you sure?
I mean, it might be more fun if it did.
It'd be hilarious, but no, no one would use that ability if they just took damage from falling 10 feet every turn.
Right.
Tuck and roll, tuck and roll.
So at 6th level, you get the Heart of the Storm. You gain resistance to lightning and thunder. In addition, whenever you're casting a spell of 1st level or higher that deals those damage types, Stormy Magic just shoots out from you. You just explode with the storm. And it causes any creature of your choice, which is important, that can see within 10 feet, so it can't be like way over there, to take lightning or thunder damage. You have to choose which one. You can't be like lightning for you, thunder for you. It's whichever one you're doing. Equal to half your sorcerer level. So at that point, you gain resistance to lightning and thunder. Also, when you attack with the lightning and thunder spells, you can deal 3 points of damage at level 6. Which is pretty nice. You're pretty much just dishing out more damage to more people.
Right.
Also at 6th level, you get Storm Guide. So you can subtly control the weather around you, which is really good. If it's raining, you can use your action to stop the raining falling in a 20-foot radius sphere centered around you. You can end this as a bonus action. So if you're trying to carry something that's a light and it's raining, you can just go... No, and waterbend it, pretty much.
Or investigating an area looking for clues.
Yeah, you can be like, I wanted to stop that. I need to be dry.
Like, it was starting to rain. Hold on.
You can also use your bonus action each round to choose the direction the wind blows in a 100-foot radius sphere centered on you. It blows into the end of your next turn, and it doesn't alter the speed of the wind, though. But let's say you're shooting things northbound, and it's a southbound air. Things are kind of like...
You give me like, I'm going to push it back that way.
I'm going to push it northward, and so what we're trying to do is being affected.
Or maybe you need a little more wind in your sails.
Exactly. And we're going east now.
Yep. At 14th level, you gain Storm's Fury, which is when you were hit by a melee attack, which you probably will be. You can use your reaction to deal lightning damage to the attacker. The damage is equal to your sorcery level. So
at that point, 7.
14 equals...
So that'd be 14.
14.
Yep.
Sorry, half.
The attacker
14,
must also make a strength saving throw against your sorcerer spell save, and on a fail save, the attacker is pushed in a straight line up to 20 feet away from you.
If you're on a boat, you just shoot him off in the water.
Oh no!
Later, kid.
And at 18th level, you gain Wind Soul, which means you gain immunity. Not just resistance, but immunity to lightning and thunder.
None.
Nothing. And you can gain a magical flying speed of 60 feet. As an action, you can reduce your flying speed to 30 for 1 hour and choose a number of creatures within 30 feet of you, equal to 3 plus your charisma modifier.
Level 18, so it should be like...
And those creatures, hey, guess what? They can fly at a speed of 30 feet for an hour, too.
So it's at level 18, you should be able to pick 8 people to fly around with you.
I mean, you could just hey party, we're just gonna fly for a little bit.
We're gonna fly for an hour.
Yeah.
But also you can just do that. It's an action. So in combat that matters, but out of combat you can just fly 30 feet. Mm-hmm. So if you're like, oh, we need to fly over this like barren wasteland that's nothing but death and destruction. If we fall in, we die. Let's just fly over that for a few hours. And then the final one, the most Lols Tay Random.
Probably the
funniest
the
and
best, in my
the best
opinion.
for hilarious moments with your party, but also the best for unintentional mishaps.
As a fan of somebody who likes flawed things, this is my favorite. And this is Wild Magic. Which basically means that your magic comes from chaos. Just the natural entropy, the chaotic order of the world is just, it's there for you to take.
If something is a chaotic being that has magical power that emanates that into the universe, you picked it up.
Like a fae or a demon.
You picked it up somehow. And it's wonderful for you. So you get that wild magic surge.
Or maybe you were just born like that.
Maybe we're just born crazy. I mean, my vote is if you were the son of Loki, you just get wild magic. Chaos! So the wild magic surge. Once per turn, the DM can have you roll a d20 immediately after you cast a spell. If you roll a 1, roll a d100, so 2d10s.
We're going to say we rolled a 1.
So you're going to roll 2d10s, and you're going to figure out where it falls on the wild magic surge, which is the table. If that effect is a spell, it is too wild to be affected by your meta magic. So let's say you're trying to cast Magic Missile.
Oh, one's a percentile.
That's fine.
No, we need one to be percentile.
That's fine. It's
34.
34, which means you maximize the damage of the next damaging spell you cast within the next minute.
So your spell would obviously miss because you rolled a 1 on the attack. But the next spell, if you hit with it within the minute, maximize the damage.
Yep.
So it is absolutely wonderful. Well, technically we wouldn't have to miss. So technically it would work because the DM could be like, roll that wild magic. Mm-hmm. Whenever he wants. It's once per turn. But whenever turn the DM wants, roll wild magic.
I love this because there are some good things on here. But there are also bad things, like you cast Confusion on yourself.
Right. You cast Polymorph on yourself, and you turn into a sheep if you fail.
1d6 flumps controlled by the DM appear in unoccupied spaces within 60 feet of you.
Your hair falls out and grows back within 24 hours.
You can also take this specific subclass a little bit further if you want, and you can kind of homebrew some of your own good, bad outcomes.
Oh, yeah.
Talk with your DM, of course.
There's enough on here that, depending on what you roll, you probably won't hit them too much. But having at least two different, because that gives you, 100 different options?
Yes.
Yeah, so having 2 different lists that have different things on them, if you want to homebrew one and use the actual one, 100 different options is 100 different random things that can happen.
Which is great, in my opinion.
So, starting at level 1, if the magic table wasn't enough, you get the Tides of Chaos. Starting at level 1, you can manipulate the forces of chance and chaos and gain advantage on one attack roll, which is nice. Or ability or saving throw. You have to finish a long rest before you do it again. Anytime before you regain the use of this feature, the DM can have you roll on the Wild Magic table. After you cast a sorcery spell, first level or higher, then you regain. So, if you... let's say you do the Tides of Chaos and then your DM goes, roll Wild Magic, you get it back. But that's up to the DM's discretion. Wild Magic is very much the Sorcerer and the DM are working together to have fun.
Right.
This is
one of them.
This is my personal opinion. If a player picks Wild Magic and you're constantly picking on them and trying to force the Wild Magic to be negative against them, that's kind of railroading and degrading to the player who
you're going to lose a player.
You're kind of stifling a player's creativity and the chance of things going to happen. My favorite time to use Wild Magic, there are 3 times. 1, during the most innate simple combat, because that's fun to do. Not all the time, but during a regular fight with people that you things you should be able to beat.
Just maybe 4 or 5 bandits or something.
Yeah. Wild Magic, because that's fun. During moments of sheer triumph, would be fun, and during moments of sheer defeat. Mm-hmm. Those 3, because during sheer triumph, you could do something that makes it so the group then has to scramble to continue the triumph, or sheer defeat, because that table has some things that do amazing things for the team.
Yeah.
So you could theoretically get something and let's just say you make fog cloud appear, and that gives your team just enough like advantage to hide from whatever big bad guy is trying to kill them.
Mm-hmm.
Or you get mirror image, which allows you to have a duplicate, which then makes it harder for people to hit you. Like, good things can happen. So those are my 3 things, but that's just me as a DM.
And me personally as a player, once again, I love it when bad things happen.
So the more the better.
Bring on the chaos!
So at 6th level, you get...
Bend luck. You can twist the fate of your wild magic, more or less. When another creature that you see makes an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, you can use your reaction, spend 2 sorcery points to roll a d4, and apply the number rolled as a bonus or penalty to the creature's roll. You can do so after the creature rolls, but before the effects occur. So let's say that your friend...
Well, I'll stay random.
Your friend, good old Sorn, is rolling for stealth, and he's not rolling too hot. You can just help him out.
And roll that d4.
Roll that d4, right?
And make him do worse.
No, wait, yeah, what? I want him to be found. If he's found, I'm not.
Chaos.
So at level 14, you get the controlled chaos. So you gain a little, just a fragment, like the top of this, just that little tiny ball. A smidgen of control over the wild magic that surges. Whenever you roll the wild magic surge table, you can roll twice and use either number. So this gives you a choice. This gives the chance where you could roll, you will lose all your hair, or you get the one that's 91, 92. If you die in the next minute, you come back to life using the reincarnate spell for free.
Or maybe you get 2 bad things and you just have to...
You have to pick which one you want.
Yeah. And at 18th level, you get Spell Bombardment.
So fun.
Which means basically your spells intensify. When you roll damage for a spell and roll the highest number possible on any of the dice, choose one of the dice, roll it again, and add that roll to the damage. You can use it once per turn.
Add that roll. Not substitute it.
Add it.
So let's say you rolled, it was a 4d6, and you rolled a 6, 6, 6, and a 1. And you get a reroll of one of those 6s, another 6. You just did maximum damage plus 1, technically, which is insane.
Yep. It's kind of nice.
It's kind of nice for you to just be like, oh, I cannot. So which one are we going to go with? I think I know what I want to go with.
I think we're going to go with probably wild magic.
Wild magic.
I don't think there was anything else anybody wanted.
So, I mean, each one has their own thing. It's just for our group and our likes and preferences, wild magic is fun. And if I'm the DM, I will use the wild magic in fun scenarios. I'm not going to, make it so you sneezed and you accidentally cast a spell, roll wild magic.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that'd be great.
You killed your party. How do you feel?
I'm going to Taco Bell now.
I'll roll wild magic. You send yourself to the elemental plane of fire.
No!
No! So, wild magic. So that's just the origin. Mm-hmm. So then let's look at what else we get through level 20 as just a sorcerer.
Yeah, because as everything else between, it's definitely like you get like your couple of things through the origins, but then everything else is just ability score improvement, like levels 4, 8, 12, 16, 19. They're all just ability score improvement or feats.
Yeah, you get a lot of ability score improvement, so your charisma should be 20.
Yeah.
And probably so should your Dexstitution.
Dex Orcon. Dex and Orcon.
Dexstitution. It works.
Dexstitution.
So you also get at level 20 is whenever you do a short rest, so that's 2 to 4 hours, you get 4 spell points back. Sorcery points. Mm-hmm. So you have the ability to, if you take a short rest, you have the ability to once again weave the magic around however you want. So unlike other classes, sorcerers don't get as much from their base class. They get it from their origin, which is why another reason why it starts at level 1 instead of level 3 and higher things. It's your origin, like I said, your origin forms who you are, and you get spells.
Right.
So we did wild magic. We don't have to worry about picking spells right now.
Right.
As a sorcerer, let's go to starting equipment. Let's pick that.
All right. Well, let's see. So I've named our tiefling Harmony.
Because it's
Because
harmony and chaos.
So let's see. Well, let's do a background real fast. So I'm thinking noble because you've already mentioned that sorcerers tend to be pretty few and far between.
And so this one, what is this? Like a person whose family is like a lineage of sorcerers, but this is like...
Yes, this is the one wild magic one. They're like...
Honey, why aren't you casting your divine spells to cure your brother's wound? I'm trying, but I keep summoning flumps!
So you automatically get a skill proficiency in history, as well as something else. It's kind of the full list here. So I imagine with that we should do, let's say, acrobatics, animal handling, athletics, deception, insight, intimidation, investigation, medicine, nature, perception, performance, religion, sleight of hand, stealth, survival.
I think performance would be hilarious.
Performance would be hilarious. I also like perception. If I can take an extra,
let's do that.
Perception.
I mean, for use around the world, I think performance would be hilarious. Like, wild magic just going like...
Yeah. Until you have to roll on that wild magic table, and instead of entertaining those kids with some harmless puffs of smoke, you're killing them.
You summon more flumps.
No!
We also get a tool proficiency in a gaming set. So I'm going to say probably dragon chess. It's probably something that as a noble they would have learned as a kid.
I know how to play chess. Do you play what?
You also get another language.
So we already have primordial, and we already have infernal. Mm-hmm. So...
Elven, because high and mighty and noble.
Yes.
They probably interacted with some other ones.
Okay.
You also have a position of privilege thanks to your noble birth. People are inclined to think the best of you. You're welcome in high society, and people assume you have the right to be wherever you are.
Must be nice.
Mm-hmm.
I can be here because I want to be.
You can secure an audience with a local noble if you need to. You have a status. All right, so we're gonna roll for some.
Some personalities.
All right, so we got 8. If you do me an injury, I will crush you, ruin your name, and salt your fields.
We'll try real hard, but wild magic might make that hard.
And 7.
My favor, once lost, is lost forever.
Yeah, those work together.
Fair enough.
I'm your friend. You did me wrong. Prepare to die.
Yeah, so let's see. We got 1 for ideals, respect. Respect is due to me because of my position, but all people, regardless of station, deserve to be treated with dignity.
Nice. Okay,
That's
so
fair.
we're pretty nice so far.
As far as bonds go, I will face any challenge to win the approval of my family. That makes sense.
Works.
Yep.
I'm a sorcerer.
And flaws. I have an insatiable desire for carnal pleasures.
Also, another reason why the family's like, get out. Your chaotic pleasure is weird.
I just want some normal.
I just want a normal child. So now we get to go to start picking stuff.
Yes, equipment. We have a choice between a light crossbow and 20 bolts or a simple weapon.
Crossbow.
No. Go ranged.
Let's see, a component pouch or an arcane
focus. Because you can just use that like we do with our quiet spell.
Right. Yeah. So let's see, for an arcane focus, crystal orb, rod, staff, wand.
See, I think it would be a crystal.
Yeah.
I think a crystal that maybe like on a necklace or
so
something.
that's touching, so it's just like, and fireball.
Yeah.
All right, a Dungeoneer's pack or an Explorer pack.
Explorer.
And we will also get 2 daggers. As a noble starting, we get a set of fine clothes.
The finest.
They're going to be ruined quickly.
A signet ring, a scroll of pedigree.
I promise I'm actually a sorcerer.
And a purse containing 25 gold.
Nice. So we have harmony all made.
Right. And again, spells are always one of those things where
there's a one-time pick, so this is something that you should probably sit down and think about it.
Right.
I highly encourage you to look into all the spells. It takes some time, but you know, it's one of those things where we start playing this a while back, and you know, now I'm learning more about different spells. And I'm like, oh, that one's my favorite. No, that one's my favorite. No, this one's better.
Take a look, and if you're doing a level 5, like jump into level 5, start at level 1, pick the level 1 spells, then pick the level 2 spells, because you don't want to pick, because you can theoretically, if you start at level 5. you can theoretically pick spells that are a higher spell slot than what you have.
Right.
So start basic. Look at what the table gives you in the rule book for how many spell slots of each thing you have and pick accordingly to that.
Right.
So, and it will give you diversity, it'll give you range, and hopefully you have a grand old time, casting your spells and bending the fabric of magic to your bloodline.
And basically just being all around the most naturally gifted spellcaster.
I'm the best, ha ha ha, and then more flumps.
Right. We won't go into the whole spells part of it, but just looking at harmony here. Their charisma's at a 19, so a +4. So they're pretty good there. However, this is where you see, like, with them, AC is 13.
Yeah, you're going to get hit by everyone.
So definitely not a up-close kind of person there. +3 on initiative. So decent proficiencies and skills on saves. Again, charisma is going to be the big one for that.
What's our spell attack modifier? It should tell us in spells.
Or actions.
I just want to know what our attack mod is.
No, we didn't pick spells. That's why.
Since we didn't pick any spells.
So go to spells. It should let you know. We'll figure this out. D&D Beyond's great, but also on tablet mode it's kind of finicky. Because you have natural spells, it should be up top.
So it's 15 wisdom save. And then
+7 for
so,
attack.
+7. That's pretty good. Like I've said in previous episodes, if a thing's a 14 or 15 AC, you have a 50-50 shot of hitting with any of your spells.
Right.
Yeah.
So which is pretty good, especially, if I say, roll me a wild magic. And you got a 1?
One.
Let me just go down to that.
Or is that a 100?
That's a 1.
That's a 1.
Could be a 10.
Okay, so you get a roll on this table at the start of each of your next turns for the next minute, ignoring the 1 or 2. So if you roll 1 and you roll that wild magic and you roll a 1 or a 2, you literally for the next 60 turns, no, not 60, 10 turns. Yeah, next 10 turns, depending on what you roll.
Again. 74.
Okay, 74 gets you... A random creature within 60 feet becomes poisoned for 1d4 hours. So you just poisoned Tristan for 3 hours. Oh, boy.
Sorry.
Wow,
good thing I'm a monk right now, and I'm immune. All right, so this is definitely where there's a lot of fun when it comes to, like, the wild magic. Again, it's the most ridiculous, lol, random one. But sorcerers are very much, again, heavy spell users because they're, sorcerers. You're not going to go ahead and do this one if you want to be up in the fray, like we've talked about with like, in the past with like monks and barbarians and such like that, or even like rangers. So this one's definitely going to take a little bit more in depth looking into stuff like spells, your lineage and how you got it. Because again, it's not like warlocks where it's like, oh, I made a pact, or a wizard, like, I've learned this stuff. This is definitely a little bit much more into the role-playing aspect of it, communicating with your DM, and of course, this is one of those things where, like, everything's at your DM's discretion. If it's one of those things, there's sorcerers all over the place, then it's not going to be a problem. So yeah, this is another really good, so we've done warlocks, so now here's the sorcerer, another really heavy
spellcasting class, yeah.
Yeah.
And even more so than warlocks, should be mostly spellcasting. Whereas with warlocks, you get something like Pact of the Hexblade. You can be more of the fighting.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of options.
This one, you don't want to be the fighter.
I mean, what is our health? I just want to know what our health. Like, what is our health?
Our health is not going to be. Cool.
This will be the reason. This will be the reason why.
Our health is 32.
32. Depending on a big spell that hits you, you're done.
Yes.
Almost
3d10.
as bad
You're
as
gone.
rogues.
We'll get into those in
Right.
a later episode.
So either way, that is a quick rundown of sorcerers. Thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please make sure to drop them in the comment box or DM or DM.
He loves those DMs.
I do.
does.
Send me your questions. Send me your... Not hate. Let's not do that.
Send me your poor, you're tired, you're hungry.
Lend me
your
your
question
ears.
message. If you want more insight on things, let me know.
Right. So yeah, so sorcerers, magic users.
Fun.
That'd be what they do. Wild magic. Crazy. All random. Words. Ending podcast. Okay. Love you. Bye. D10tion dismissed.